Okay, this one we are viewing it laterally. So basically, if this is the plantar view we are seeing, we are viewing it like this, okay? Okay, same. Okay, we are viewing it like this. So laterally, we're viewing it. So this one is the anterior side, this one is the posterior side. This one, the smooth surface on top, is the articular surface for navicular. Okay, here there is an area called the anterior calcaneal surface, and this one, the deep round one, is the medial calcaneal surface. Okay, and this one, the big one, is the posterior calcaneal surface. Now here there is the sulcus in the middle. It's called the sulcus thalli. And here in the posterior calcaneal surface, if you move here, you can see a groove. Okay, this groove is for the flexor hallucis longus tendon. Okay, and here this one we said it was the middle calcaneal surface. If you go like here, you can see the attachment for the calcaneo-navicular ligament. Okay, so this one is for the lateral view. Okay, now you do the.
Okay, for the medial view, we have the head, we have the body, we have the neck. Okay, now
show the neck again.
This is the neck. Okay, now these two, this is the articular surface with the medial malleolus, and this one would be the articular surface for the distal end of the tibia. Now if we go more posteriorly, we have the lateral tubercle, the medial tubercle, and in between there's a groove for the flexor hallucis longus. That's it.
And here, this
and
one
there's
is
the articular surface for navicular on the head. Okay, the medial tubercle and the lateral tubercle together, they make the posterior process of the thallus.
Okay, so here we're looking at the medial part of the calcaneus. Okay, so first thing that we see over here is basically the posterior talar articular surface, and then we have this sulcus over here, which is calcaneal sulcus, and there's a bony projection here. This is called systemic tali. And then we have the middle talar surface, and then the anterior talar articular surface. And then there's this upper part of the posterior surface, which is just above this line you see here. This is the middle part of the posterior surface. And lastly, we see this tuberosity, which is called calcaneal tuberosity, also called the lower part of the posterior surface. And that's it for this view.
So here we can see a line. Okay, above the line we have the upper part of the posterior surface. Below the line we have the middle part of the posterior surface, which is also the insertion for the calcaneal tendon. And then we have the calcaneal tuberosity. Now this was the medial view. Now we'll look at the lateral view. Here you can see this tubercle, which is really prominent. It's called the calcaneal tubercle. You move above, you see a smooth surface here. This is the articular surface with the cuboid bone. Okay, and here there was a groove. Okay, it's the groove for the tendon of flexor hallucis longus. That's just near the projection, that is the sestantculum thalli. Okay, and now you see this kind of like a heart-shaped thing. This one is a notch, and this notch is between the lateral process and the medial process. Okay, and here you can see clearly the calcaneal tuberosity, that is the lower part of the posterior surface. So this was the lateral view of the calcaneal bone.
Okay, so this is the dorsolateral view of the calcaneus. As you can see, it's this way. So we can see here the posterior talar articular surface, the middle talar articular surface, and the anterior talar articular surface. And this sulcus here is the calcaneal sulcus. And we have two projections, you can say, over here. One, which is the more anterior one, is the fibular trochlea, and then the posterior one is the attachment of the calcaneofibular part of the lateral ligament of the ankle joint.